So welcome to the video lecture for the subject software testing. So today I'm going to take a topic from unit 1, which is fundamentals of software testing. So I am Dr. A.R.Arunachalam, professor in the Department of Computer Science at Dr. MGR Educational Research Institute Phase 2 campus. So let's get into the video lecture. So today's agenda of my video lecture covers all these things. So first we are going to look at what is actually software testing, and then we need to understand why testing is actually important for softwares, and then we are going to see some examples where without a proper testing, no, I mean without a proper software testing, what actually, what kind of losses have happened across various areas. So we will see some examples there, and then we will come to know about why software needs to be tested, and then finally I will differentiate the difference between software testing and then debugging. So let's get into the video lecture. So first is what is software testing. So see, if you're looking at a computer system, no, you'll have hardware and as well as you'll have software. But actually speaking, both hardware and software needs to be tested. So the reason why we test the software is because to understand what are all the bugs or maybe what are all the errors that particular software is having. That's because very important, no? Because the reason is, the software is especially used by many end users, so that puts the importance of bringing the quality for the software. So quality arises when the software does not have any errors in the particular software. So that's the reason nowadays, software testing is playing an important role. When you talk about few years back, no, I mean the person who developed the software was a developer, and the same person used to test the software. But actually speaking, balancing the development phase as well as the testing phase was not so easy. So then many companies brought a department called software testing, and then they started recruiting people called testers, who are especially recruited to test the software. So I mean the software is developed by a developer, and then the same software is tested by a software tester. So what is actually software testing? So software testing is nothing but it's an activity. Okay, so it is nothing but it's an activity where it checks whether the actual result matches the expected result, and to ensure that the software system is defect free. So this is nothing but, take for example, you are developing a calculator. Okay, so you are developing a calculator where you are going to do some addition operation. So you give two input values 3 and 2. Okay, and then once you press the addition, actually the expected result should be 5. Correct? 3 plus 2 is 5. That should be the expected result. So now you are going to give the input 3, and then you are going to give the input 2, and then you are going to press the add button. So now you will get a particular result. So now you need to match whether this actual result is matches with the expected result, which means the actual result should also be 5, and also the expected result is also 5. So which means both these two things matches, which means that particular addition function is working. So this is how you are going to check the actual result with the expected result. And also you need to ensure that the software system is actually defect free. So defect free in the sense there should not be any defect or there should not be any errors in the particular software. And next is, it involves the execution of software component or a system component to evaluate one or more properties of interest. Now take for example, you are having you take a particular component or maybe a system, a particular set of components, where you choose some set of properties which is of interest. So mainly, software testing will help to identify certain errors, and also it tries to fill up the gaps and also the missing requirements in contrary to the actual requirements. Now take for example, when you're going to develop a software, initially you start with the actual requirements, which needs to be which are needed to develop the particular software. So then you need to compare the present requirement with the actual requirement. So there you might be able to understand there are some missing requirements. So through that you will try to bring those missing requirements. So when you're talking about testing, so normally when the testing started, it started with the manual testing. Okay, so many people started doing only manual testing, but now there are a lot of automated tools in the market which makes the job easier. Okay, so initially there were manual testing, but now it's all automated testing. And then software testing is normally divided into two things. One is a white box, and then the other one is a black box testing. So anyways, we will see the differences between these two types in the coming video lectures. So now you need to understand why is software testing important. Okay, so testing is actually important because software bugs could be expensive or even dangerous. No, so I mean when you are developing a software, I think the software should not have any bugs or maybe any kind of an error, because based on that error or maybe based on the bugs, no, I mean the it could end up in a more expensive or even a dangerous way, you know. So a software bug, no, normally can potentially cause monetary loss, but that's not the case. But even there are human loss also in the history. So today we are going to see some examples of how the software bugs have made an impact in terms of monetary loss as well as in terms of the human loss. Now take for example in April 2015, so the Bloomberg terminal in London, the software actually crashed. Okay, so which glitched affected more than 3 lakh traders. No, so I mean it affected more than 3 lakh traders on the financial market. So which forced the government to postpone a 3 billion pound debt sale. So that kind of a monetary loss has happened there. And then Nissan cars, as you know, I mean they recalled more than 1 million cars from the market due to the software failure in the airbag sensory detectors. No, so there was a small sensory detector, I mean fault in the airbag. So because of that they just recalled 1 million cars from the market, and then they started I think they started rectifying that, but that was a big loss for them. And then Starbucks, as you all know, I mean they closed almost 60% of the stores in US and Canada due to the software failure in its point of sale system. Okay, so at one point, I mean, the store served coffee for free as they were unable to process the transaction on a particular day. I mean, because of the software failure, they were unable to process the transaction. And some of the I mean Amazon's third party retailers also saw the product price is reduced to 1 paise due to a software glitch. No, so software glitch is something like a small error or maybe a small bug in the software. So because of that the product price was reduced to 1 paise, so they were left with a heavy loss. And similarly vulnerability in Windows 10, so this bug enables users to escape from security sandboxes through a flaw in a Windows 32K system. So this is what also was one of the problems. And then in 2015, fighter plane F-35 fell victim to a software bug, making it unable to detect targets correctly. So I mean, because of the software problem, the fighter plane F-35 was unable to detect the target correctly, and because of that, it got crashed. Okay, and then China Airlines Airbus A300 crashed due to a software bug on April 26, 1994, killing more than 264 innocents live. And then in 1985, I think Canada's Terac 25th edition therapy machine malfunction due to a software bug and delivered lethal radiation doses to patients, leaving 3 people dead and critically injuring 3 others. And there are some more examples. So you can see this, because of the software bug, so it has created a huge amount of monetary loss, as well as there are some human loss as well. So that's why software needs to be tested. So every software product needs to be tested, since the development process is unable to produce defect-free software. So when you're developing a software in general, no, it's a very difficult to produce a software without any defects. So that's the reason testing plays an important role, where testing tries to detect the errors and try to rectify it. Okay, so testing not only identifies and reports defect, but also measures the quality of the product. So that is very important. The reason of doing a testing is not only to identify or maybe to detect the errors, but also to enhance the quality of the product, because the quality is the only important parameter which can keep hold of the customers. So I mean, when you're developing a product, the product should be of good quality. But how do you define a good quality? Only when a product is without any errors, that becomes a quality product. So it basically helps to decide whether to release a product or not. Now take for example, you're developing a software and then you're testing, and then you try to understand there are a lot of problems with the particular software. So in that case, you will decide not to release that particular software into the market. So when you will release that particular product, only after rectification of all those problems. So that's the reason every software you develop needs to be tested before it gets released to the end user. So difference between software testing and then the debugging. So software testing, if you see, it is a process of locating or identifying the errors or bugs in a software system. But whereas debugging is a process of fixing the identifying bugs. Okay, so software testing is where you try to locate or maybe identify the errors in the system. But debugging is nothing but whatever errors you have found, you are trying to solve those errors, which is called as debugging. Okay, so bug is nothing but an error here. Okay, and also it involves a process of analyzing and rectifying the syntax errors, logical errors, and all other type of errors identified during the process of testing. So basically it also rectifies all kinds of syntax errors with regards to the software development, and as well as logical errors, as well as all the other types of errors which were identified during the process of right. So far I think we have seen about what is software testing, and then we saw some real-time examples where when there are bugs in the software, what could happen in terms of monetary loss or maybe in terms of the human loss. And also we came to know about why software needs to be tested and what is the basic difference between software testing and then the debugging. So more to follow in my next video lecture. Until see you then. Thank you.